Hi, this is Misha.
And this is Jake.
And kind of an impromptu Q&A. We posted it just a week or so back, but turns out Jay's over here helping me get some stuff done. Had a visit from the folks at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, which is normal, but we needed to do some cleaning up and finding some things, so figured since we already had posted this, we'd answer the, dozen or so questions that come in.
Yep.
And we'll do probably one more of these tail end of this year, beginning of the next year, so if you miss this one, don't worry, we'll probably do one pretty quick again.
Yep. Yeah, so for those who don't know, $1 and up, it basically gains you access to these Q&A threads that we post every once in a while. We send out notification that we've got them up. It's usually about every other month or so that we do them. So if you have any questions that you want read and answered on one of our videos, then you can go post it in one of those threads. So we've got 12 posts here. Some have multiple questions, and you ready to get started?
Let's go.
Okay. Eric says, does Arkansas allow you to get a concealed weapons permit, and did you attend the IV-888 Shooters Jamboree? And if yes, did you film the event? I think we would all enjoy that submission.
Yes, Arkansas is pretty conceal and carry friendly, and also it has reciprocity with how many states now?
I don't even know anymore. Quite a few, though.
Yeah, I know it's over 30.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to make it worth getting like the Florida one. Like the difference wasn't enough.
Yeah, we have pretty good reciprocity, and it's as easy as it can be.
Yeah.
As far as the shoot, actually, was kind of invited, and I was asked if I was coming by a few folks, including James over at TFB TV. But here's the thing: we're not professionals. Like, that's not our thing. This isn't our day job. I run a gun shop. Mm-hmm. Jay has full-time work.
Yep.
It's hard for us to make it to those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And again, we're not doing this for our livelihood. We're doing this because we love guns, and you guys love guns, and we're just sharing. So.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to get out and do those kind of things, but it's costly in more ways than just the travel, because it means taking time off of work. And for me especially, that's exceptionally difficult because it's really pretty much unrelated to my normal day-to-day day job. So, and if he's not here, then none of his shipments go out. So.
Right. Yeah. If I take time off work, which I can, but then I come back and I have a bajillion customer emails and things don't go. And if you have a certain number of days, so it's just not really. Plus, I don't know, huge events like that, you get lost in the noise.
Yeah, I think so. But it'd be cool to do something like that. Maybe someday we'll get to a point.
Yeah, get to the time when maybe I have some more help at the shop, kind of a partner and maybe you're at a higher level position where. Yeah.
Yep. James says, hi guys. Misha, a little over a year ago, you did a video on your newly acquired, at the time, Molot VEPR FM RPK 7433. You said you had an interesting story as to how you obtained that particular firearm and that you would share the story in a future full-length video. I believe I watched all of your past and present videos on the RPK 74, but I don't think you ever told us the story. Care to share today? Thanks. Video reference, the Russian RPK 74M that almost was.
Yeah, this one here. I thought I talked about it a bit in that video, but essentially, and I have to, Arsenal is one of those companies, or fine, but it's all the same group. They're a little touchy, frankly. And when I got this, they were putting all of these on GunBroker. They did eventually have some for just straight sale, but to be fair, they were asking pretty crazy money for them, like $5,000-$6,000. But at the time I got mine, it was essentially not available just a straight buy. Well, I asked them, and they pretty much said, for one, it was, they made sure it was for me, not just for something I was going to flip and whatnot. So once it was mine. And it took like 6 weeks to get one, 2 months maybe even. To the point I thought, they're just kind of gaslighting me. But sure enough, they came through. But, there were some strings attached. Obviously, it wasn't supposed... I mean, legally, there's nothing they could do to enforce it. But it was supposed to be for me, not for resale, blah, 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 which I wouldn't do anyway. But you know, it was just kind of a, for once, I don't want to say we've given them free advertisement. That's not really, you know, true. But we have highlighted a lot, and this was pretty soon after we had done the history of Arsenal videos, the two of those. So, you know, it did come through. It was one of the few times I kind of called in a favor, or called in a, hey, and you know, you owe me a little bit type thing. Sat into that story, the sales guy over there that kind of facilitated that, or was hugely helpful. Now, to be fair, another guy who really stepped in and helped me get it was one of their major. Well, he's basically the guy who posts on AK Files. I forget his username. Sorry over there, but you know who I'm talking about. He helped a lot too, so I want to give credit where credit's due. But the sales guy who kind of also put in a word, he got let go from Arsenal after SHOT Show the next time. Because anyway, again, I can't say much, and you know, it's always a he said, she said type thing. But yeah, he's no longer there, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. The new guy that has my case is fine, but yeah, you know, it was just one of those instances where they actually stopped being a big corporate conglomerate and seemed to be more human for once, which is getting rarer and rarer with corporations in America today. But you know, they actually sent me one as kind of a thank you, and you know, with the caveat that we'd do some videos and stuff on it. But it wasn't free. I did have to pay, but I didn't have to pay $6,000. Pretty much I sold my VEPR 1V and a few accessories that went with it, and that more or less covered it. Yeah. So I consider it a win, because I bought my VEPR 1B back when they were not what they are today.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of a cool story, but I couldn't really get into too much detail back then because they were pretty touchy about those guns, because they hadn't officially just sold them yet.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep.
Joseph says, what would be the rifle, SMG, and pistol milsurp you would like to see a reproduction of, and what caliber?
What do you think first?
I've been thinking about this since I read this question. The first thing, for some reason, that came to mind on, as far as reproduction goes, an SMG would be like an MP18. I think would be kind of neat. Even if it was something like, you know, like GSG did with the ATI, the MP40P. I think that would be cool if they could figure out a way to swing that.
I think it's SSD in Germany, but someone does a repro semi MP18 over there in Europe.
That would be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. That was my first thought for SMG.
Yeah, kind of the first. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm not really sure as far as rifles go, though. I can't really think of anything that hasn't been brought over that...
I think you can.
What am I thinking of, then?
Whoop up.
What, the MSVS?
No, think older. There was one you told me when we were talking about airsoft.
Oh, like the FAMAS?
Was it the FAMAS or the L85 you said you'd...
The FAMAS I think I'd rather have than an L85.
Okay, I knew we were talking because we were both looking at...
Yeah, that's true. There was some of those that we were looking at airsoft versions of that you can't get domestically.
Right,
FAMAS was the first one that I looked at.
I think that counts as a rifle.
Yeah.
And I think that would be one that would actually be theoretically reproducible for a not crazy money.
Sure. I'm not sure the L85... Because I don't have a British collection or anything.
Yeah, true.
So, and those don't.
I couldn't remember which one it was. Yeah, you said you wanted.
But yeah, FAMAS would be really cool, for sure. And yeah, pistols. I think it's the MP18 is one of those ones that gets brought up. The 443. Was it the? Is it the 443 Rex? I know there's a Russian pistol that was it's a top break pistol.
Okay.
That was about to get released, and all the sanctioning stuff happened, and they never made it over.
Yeah, there's so many Russian, admittedly cool, but yeah, Russian, they did a lot.
What about you?
SMG, I'd have to say Japanese Type 100. just because that's,
yeah.
I have a lot of the semi-conversions built from kits, but that's one that I just can't find the kit of. And it's actually kind of based on the MP28 Bergman, which is itself, they all kind of flow from the MP18. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love a Japanese Type 100. That may be a little hard though because of its weird caliber, but hey, we're dreaming here.
Right.
As far as a rifle, kind of the same vein. FAMAS would be neat, but I think if it were me, if I'm just like dreaming, the Japanese, either Type 64 or Type 89.
Yeah, sure.
Just because I have a Japanese collection, and those basically have never been and will never be available. But yeah, the FAMAS would be... What's funny is there are some that I would have said a few years ago that have actually come to pass, that we've had come in or have repros made of, which is cool.
I'm thinking of the MP412 Rex, which was a modern top break revolver, and it was meant to be exported to the United States, and then ended up getting caught in that the arms agreement.
Yeah.
So, but that's one of those ones that always show. It's made by Ijevsk, and it shows up in video games a lot, and I always thought it was kind of cool. So
I think I remember vaguely seeing that on Max's old website years ago. It was kind of a oddity.
Yep, that would be kind of cool.
As far as pistol, pistols usually get imported, so having a repro of a pistol is usually not necessary.
Right.
I don't know, pistols to me they're not all that iconic as far as ones that we don't have. We got the Japanese, we got the da-da-da.
I mean, you can get Lugers, you get P08s,
high powers.
As the C96 are
broom handle
around there or out there and available.
Yeah, they're out there. I'm just running through my head. I know. What was the model? What's that Russian the 5.45 by 18 little pistol? It's I think it's based on the Makarov, but it's that little 5.45 gun.
I'm Googling it now. The funny thing is the we're doing this fairly early in the day compared to what we normally do. Like,
Hence
probably
the
tell
sun.
by the daylight. So neither one of us are quite 100% on our game just yet. That's why we're like, oh, what is that thing? The thing that.
I've had a long week. I've been going on about 4 hours sleep every night, but last night I feel great. I got 6 hours, so I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah, I was up at like 6 o'clock this morning. The PSM.
There you go.
Made by Tool Design Bureau in 1969. And yes.
I know that Ian has done a video on it. That would be one that we haven't seen that I would buy if it, even though the ammo is essentially not gettable. Just that'd be cool.
5.45 by 18. Never heard of this until just now, so that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I would like to see. Well, I mean, we've basically been able to get those again. I was about to say it'd be nice to see a return to the SIG 55X line, but we are actually getting Swiss versions of those. Yeah,
well, we have those, so yeah, it's pretty cool. We have the BNTs too, so we're good on Switzerland. We're probably better on Switzerland today than we've ever been.
Yeah. For real.
It's pretty sweet.
Okay, Matthew says, "Hey Misha and Jay, I have a Bulgarian Makarov in 380. I believe it is a Miltex Makarov. It has traditional fixed sights and a squared-off trigger guard. I believe that was made in '99. The serial number is 8039X. I have a few questions about it. First, how many were imported? Are they rare? Are they worth less than surplus models, since I believe that they only manufactured for importation? Finally, it doesn't seem to be reliable with magazines with the hump. The rounds..." the rounds would frequently fail to feed. This hasn't happened with the magazines with no hump. Thank you.
I think he means the hump at the bottom of the mag, where the thing, that's my best thing. I really don't know much. For one, I've never been a big 380 person. Years ago, really when I was getting into guns, I kind of went with 32 and 9x18 Makarov.
380 was really expensive when I first started.
Yeah, and it's always been more, and I don't know, and it seems like whenever you hear about a gun that's chambered for 32 or 380, the 380 is always the lesser of the two when it comes to reliability. So I just ended up having 9x18 Makarov, which was relatively cheap when I got into guns.
Yeah.
I just went that direction. I do know what you're talking about. I know the square trigger guard guns. I think those were Arsenal made, and then I think Miltech was the importer. Yeah, I'd say they're probably... Man, I don't know. The thing is, if you have a collector, a Makarov collector, who needs that piece, then he'll probably pay good money. But for milsurp collectors like me, yeah, it'd probably be less because it is a commercial gun. And going off the Chinese and the Russian 380s versus 9x18s, you would think it'd be less. But a lot of times value is hugely subjective and is very fluid.
Yeah.
It's just whatever it goes for. I mean, cool that you've got it. I mean, it's a weird variant to have that square trigger guard, and being a late production Makarov is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think it's really a collectible. As far as numbers, essentially, we've never been able to get import numbers for Bulgarian stuff. Like, it's never, I don't know. Like I was saying earlier about fine, they tend to be a little tight-lipped about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So probably the best you can do is find an estimate on Google, and it may or may not be accurate.
Yeah, like you said, it's probably if you hit the right time, because you might get one of those things where if it were ever listed, it might do nothing because the right collector's not on there. If it might blow up because you have 2 or 3 people that want it at the same time.
I mean, I could definitely see where a Makarov collector, because it's not a common variant. You certainly don't see a lot of them, but it's kind of one of those low quantity but also low demand guns.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So those are always hard to peg down.
Yep. Misha and Jay's list of top 100 insanely authoritative AK books would be nice. Okay, so let's start at number 100.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Fast forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. There are even 100 books out there.
On the AK, probably not.
I doubt it. With AK in them, perhaps. But,
yeah.
I don't have gun books for one reason or another. So, do you have any? I mean, do you have any AK books?
No, because because we're friends. So if I have a question about the AK, I just ask you typically, or I'm recording. I'm behind the camera recording you talking about them for 30 minutes. One of the two. So I haven't done much reading. One book that I did read very early on was called The Gun by C.J. Cheevers, who is I believe he's a war correspondent, primarily war reporter. That book was pretty high on a list of recommended reads. It might have been from the old TFR days, I don't remember. But I read that, and that was a really entertaining read. I can't really speak to. It's been a long time since I've read it, so I don't know how much I can speak to authenticity, as far as accuracy goes.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of the concurrent development of the AR and the AK-47, and then the really with a real stronger focus on the AK. So that was a kind of I had a lot of first-hand accounts and things like that.
I know I have a few friends like Jerry, him that do still buy books, and what I've found, generally speaking, guys, not saying everything, with the AK books, they usually have pretty good reporting on the Russian development, especially the newer books, but what I really want to know is more like the Romanian stuff or the Polish stuff, and I've found that the books that my friends have tend to be very lacking on the foreign AKs, and that's really what I got into. And that's really where my AK thing got started, was I was interested in these guns, and back starting 99-ish when I kind of got into them and running through 2010, there just wasn't much on the AK.
Yeah.
So I researched, and when I could, I asked people. When I lived in Russia, I'd ask people, and I tried to get people that weren't just like the guy on the street, but
right.
And not even like, oh, he's a soldier, although I valued what soldiers had to say from my soldier's point of view. When it came to tech stuff, I tried to find at least an armor or someone. Like when we were doing the WBP stuff, I was trying to ask the guys in Poland firsthand. Because,
right.
A lot of stuff gets rumored and said, but so I really don't have there's really no way I could use a book, and I think a lot of the books They have text, but I think a lot of them focus on having nice color pictures. That's their big. Sure. Like, here's an AK-46 V1. Here's an AK-46 V2. Here's an early AK-47 prototype. Blah blah blah, which is cool. Right. I mean, if I could see them, I would probably drool over them. But with that said, when you take that out of the equation, most books, the text is kind of basic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one that I hear be referenced a lot is AK-47, the Grim Reaper.
Yeah,
Frank
Jerry has that.
But I don't have any first-hand experience with it.
Yeah, I've had him read some passages to me, and again, the Russian stuff is good, but, like, for example, I was trying to get some info on Romanian RPKs a couple of years ago, and reading that, and they're just, the book acknowledges their existence, but really no more than you could find on Wikipedia.
Sure.
And that's something else, too. A lot of times when there's information in a book, it ends up on a wiki or somewhere else pretty quick.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Makes sense.
Because pictures are copyrighted, but often text is... I mean, I guess you're not really plagiarizing if you're just putting on a wiki. I mean,
citing your source.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew asks, insights and thoughts on the new IWI Carmel. He spelled thoughts THOTS, which I think is pretty funny.
Okay. Is that a thing?
It is a thing. I'll talk. We'll talk about it offline.
Okay. Thoughts.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Do you have insights and thoughts on the new IWI Carmel?
I knew nothing about it till you asked me that question.
Yes. The only thing that I know about it is they recently announced its release on the military police market for a full auto select fire version. I haven't seen anything on the specifications as far as the internal design. As far as I know, it's a piston gun. Someone who knows more about it in the comments can correct me on it. It looks really cool. The pictures look really cool. I know that there's been a lot of backlash towards IWI because they've been answering every comment. IWI International, not IWI US, saying there will not be a civilian version of it. Which I can't help but wonder if that means there will never be a civilian version, or there will never be a civilian version of the select fire gun that they're offering to militaries right now. It's kind of hard to say. So I know that there's been some backlash on the internet, of course, because it's the...
Or do one of those things where they will change a minor thing and call, this isn't that gun, this is a whole different gun that just happens to be 90% the same.
Yeah, it's the Carmel S, or the Carmel semi-automatic,
the Caramel.
or something. Yeah, the Caramel, they just add an A in there. So I don't know much about the design specifics of it. It looks, like I said, it looks cool. IWI has done a pretty good job of supporting the civilian market in the U.S., so I would imagine if it does sufficiently well on the military market, if they get contracts for it,
yeah, they have a production,
more of the prototype phase and into the honest-to-goodness adoption phase by certain military or police agencies, then I could see them rolling it out to the civilian population, even though right now their line is, we have no plans of releasing a civilian version of this is an assault rifle that is only for military and police. That is what they're saying over and over again, which is...
I would point out that seems like in the last year or so, IWI USA hasn't had the best financial luck. I mean...
Yeah.
I don't know, the fact that they dropped the price on their Ace so much, and you don't hear much about the Tavor X95 or SAR, either one.
Right.
I'm not sure. In the Uzi Pro, that seems to have just poofed, which is a shame. That was one of those guns that I wish had gained more traction.
Yeah.
Because we both have one, and they're really fun little gats.
They're neat.
Yeah.
They're neat, but they're so... When you look at price comparison to other PDW type guns and then function, it's... I don't know, it's hard to... I would imagine it'd be hard to compete.
Yeah.
Size of a gun with that type of stuff.
I think they would have been better off if they, because that's like a 5-inch barrel, give or take. And I think if they had done more of a 7-8-inch barrel, kind of a mini Uzi size, it probably would have done a little better, because you get into that 4 to 5 inch range, and there's so many little tiny PDWs now that
or you can just say, well, I'll just get a Glock with a 33 round magazine.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're really realistically not gaining anything but the brace at that point, because it's still a direct blowback.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think to your point, I can't imagine any company is going to look at releasing a brand new rifle design on the U.S. commercial market with absolutely no feelers at all as to how the fully automatic assault rifle version is going to perform in the market either. Because, if you come out with a $1,700-$1,800 rifle, piston rifle, in the U.S. commercial market, there's tons of those already, and you have to do something really different to be able to compete with it. And it's such a roll in the dice to get, because you have to get the tooling set up and all of the ATF approvals and all that. So fiscally, unless that gun just really takes off internationally, it doesn't make sense to bring it over.
And how often do we hear in the comments and everywhere, well, you can get a great AR for $1,000, which is 100% true. So
Sure.
The thing is too, I think the Tavor, either version, I think because it had IDF service and that kind of allure that really pumped it up.
Yep.
Same with the Ace, it kind of rode on the old Galil coattails, but there has to be that, and myself included, there has to be a hook, if you know what I mean.
Right.
This was used by this special forces, or at the very least seen in this movie or video game.
Right.
And right now that hasn't been.
I think the T91 has done well because it is so affordable.
Yeah, no joke.
It's one of the cheapest piston AR options as far as for a complete rifle or upper. Do they even sell complete rifles yet, or are they still only selling?
I think it's still just the uppers.
But anyway,
I think Atlantic has done some complete guns, because you get the upper, slap it on a lower, bada boom, bada bing, you're good to go. I mean,
but it's still for a piston upper, it's fairly inexpensive.
Yeah.
And then you have things like the ARX, that was a great gun that nobody bought. And then they had the clearance.
Well, I mean, I brought out my Bren, 805 Bren, for another question, but this is a great example. I mean, this is an awesome military spec gun from a company people know and trust, and every review out there is pretty dang positive about it. But it was $1,500.
Yeah.
And it just didn't sell great. Right. People nitpicked a few things like weight and stuff, but honestly, that was more window dressing than real reasons.
Yeah. So, it'd be cool if they brought it, and it was attainable, and everybody loved it, but...
It's just, and we're kind of in a slump right now. I mean, so many guns that were going to come, like the Lithgow Atrex, just never have, and again, IWI's sales have not been fantastic, which kind of makes me sad, because they were pushing the envelope. Then they brought us some cool stuff.
Yeah, right.
But
I've really liked their stuff so far.
Yeah, I think your Ace 308 would be on the table for this question coming up, but you're at my place.
All right, Travis says, "Hey guys, thanks for keeping up the content flow. Much appreciated." Quite welcome, Travis. Thanks for watching. My question is, what would your choice be if you could only have one battle rifle? Something semi-auto and chambered in a full power cartridge 308 plus. I'd like to know the reason you chose what you did. Also, I hope you guys get an energy drink sponsorship soon. I'm not sure what he means by hope we get one soon, because clearly we already have one.
I mean, I've already had 3 heart attacks this year.
Right.
I need to get a fourth one in just to keep the contract going for next year.
Yeah, I've got diabetes. My foot is black as hell.
Diabetes. You know what? I don't think the young people still know Wilford Brimley.
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I still see diabetes memes pop up every once in a while. But all right, so battle rifles.
Yeah. Well, I brought.
It's the M14. You're just gonna say the M14.
Yeah, the M14. It's hiding under the table. It's in my pants.
Is that your pickup line? I've got an M14 in my pants.
It worked in Vietnam. Better than Alabama Black Snake. So, I'm going to have to go FAL. I can't really say it's the best, but it's my favorite. And then I did a favorite FALs video a few months ago, and this was my number one, so obviously this is what I'm going to bring out. This is my British L1A1 SLR. For one thing, the gun was designed by Fabrique Nationale, and it has kind of that old world pedigree. Also, just the history behind it. I mean, so many countries made these. They're also very fun to collect today because there's so many variations.
Yep.
They are reliable unless you're J.
Yep.
They've got a lot of modern features, like they have a very adjustable gas system with 13 positions. It is short stroke gas piston. We have a automatic, well, not on an L1A1, but on a standard FAL, automatic hold open with release, a non-reciprocating charging handle, and of course they did all kinds of barrel lengths, anywhere from 16 inches, well, even some 13 inches for DSA, up to 21 inches. Carbines, there's a folding stock version. There's a lot of different flavors. They're a lot of fun, and they're not ammo sensitive. Mags are cheap and available. It really is the right arm of the free world. I mean, that was the gun. I mean, I'm not throwing shade on the Setme G3. I'm not saying anything negative there. But that was probably the most successful of the battle rifles. I almost brought out the BM59 because that's probably my wild card favorite. I love the BM59.
They're a lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah, honestly, shooting they're probably, but that was only used by Italy and a few other people. So right. I thought, just trying to be fair, the FAL.
Yeah. Galil Ace, the 308 Galil Ace.
Yep.
Mentioned it earlier. That's my go-to 308. And has basically made almost every other 308 unappealing to me by comparison, because I've shot a lot of different ones. I've shot an M1A, BM59, FAL, G3, and that's my favorite one to shoot. Fairly modern as from a control perspective. And it's extremely accurate, and 16-inch barrel, folding stock, fully adjustable stock.
Rails.
And it's just...
as standard mag compatibility.
Yes, yeah.
That's to me that's a big one to me with a lot of 308s. Is do they take their own mag, or can I just use? Yeah. Because no, I agree. To me, honestly, that gun is a Scar 17 killer. I don't really see. I mean, there's a couple of things the Scar 17 does better.
Yeah.
But the Ace 308 is so much cheaper. I mean, it was $1,000 cheaper before the price drop. Mm-hmm. Now it's like half the price of a Scar 17. Heck, my distributor was pricing one of the new 20-inch 308s to me just yesterday. Nearly $4,000.
I kept expecting them to come down eventually. I was like, I'll just wait till they... they're like $2,200. I'll just wait till they drop to, 18, 16, and they've only gone up.
Yeah, and they haven't modernized them either.
No.
At least with like CZ, they went to the Bren 2, which we'll talk about for another question. But at least CZ, even though the price has stayed the same, at least they modernized the design. FN, the Scar, and I don't blame FN because the military basically gave up on the Scar. And so why keep developing it if your primary customer said, we're good?
Yeah. And they're making a Bren 2 in 308, right?
Allegedly, yeah. As the ARX as well. But the Italian ARX, they're doing a 308 version.
A 308 Bren 2 could be awesome.
Guys, and we do mean 762 NATO, just before anyone corrects us.
Right, yeah.
But it's just so much easier to say 308.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no. I hate to speak to those just because we haven't seen a version we can handle, but I agree. As light shooting as that is, yeah. Earl, if you would, please. Told you.
Yep. Yeah, that would be a cool one, I think.
But yeah, I agree. I think the Ace 308 really gets underappreciated.
Yeah,
it's amazingly light shooting.
Yeah, it's not much worse than 7.62 by 39. So
no, it really isn't. We've said in the past we think the Ace and X39 has a little more recoily than it needs to be considering the weight of that gun, and the 308 is kind of the opposite. I would almost say the 308 recoils less than the X39. Almost, it doesn't. But it's crazy for how much more powerful a round that is that it doesn't recoil. No, it's a really great gun that, honestly, I own the 223 Ace and I'm cool with that, but I think the 308 Ace is probably the most useful of the batch. It does the most new stuff.
Right. Yeah, so, it's almost in a class of its own for the price range.
Really is, yeah. It really is.
All right. Zach says, I would like to know about Century Arms, the company history and such. Also info on B-West American-made AK receivers. It is my understanding that some of the Type 56 Polytech builds were not heat treated. You guys are by far one of the best YouTube channels out there. Thanks for the knowledge. Cheers. Thanks, Zach.
Well, I mean, you can look up the basic Century history, you know, when it was founded and all that on Wikipedia.
What did they start with importing? Like, what was their bread and butter for the original import stuff?
They were always a surplus. I think they took over
surplus then.
Oh lordy, there were big surplus warehouses before and after World War I that made a living here. And then as they closed, Century was part of that next wave that opened up. There was kind of a big wave after World War II, as you might imagine, 50s, 60s. They were kind of major competition in the later days for Interarms before they went out of business. And Interarms guys went away just because the owner died. So, you know, sometimes that happens. Century kept on. They were definitely big by the 80s. And they did a lot of the stuff back then. They brought over the FAMASas, for example.
That's the first thing that popped into my head.
A lot of the Finnish guns, once Interarms kind of lost their exclusivity with Finland. They were a big player back in the day, and they always kind of did so. And here's what was kind of neat about Century: they actually gave a warranty to surplus guns, which was. I know people kind of act like today every gun should have a warranty, but not really. Surplus used to just be sold as is, essentially at scrap prices. And so Century actually gave a kind of a functional safety check type warranty to their guns, which is pretty cool, really, for what they do.
Yep.
Kind of like me, because when I started my business, I was doing surplus too. But as the surplus dried up, that's when Century started getting into doing kit builds and semi-auto imports. They started bringing over the Romanian AKs. They started building stuff from kits like G3s, SETMEs, FALs, AKs, and they sucked. Honestly,
was that like kind of late 90s?
Yeah, that whole kit building thing kind of got going post, 89, post 94.
Right.
But that was before. What really killed the kit building was the barrel ban in 05.
That makes sense.
I mean, they still kept it up, but man, when you couldn't have a barrel, that just added so much cost and labor.
Right.
Yeah. But if you have any specific questions, I don't know. And I do have someone I could ask if on the inside, but they're just a company, surplus company.
Mm-hmm.
They've had highs and lows. They brought over some of the coolest stuff we've had.
Yeah.
SVTs, they did those. KBI, which was formerly Kastner's, that was another one of their big competitors back in the day.
Yeah. Been around for a long time.
Oh yeah. I forget exactly when they were founded, but I know they were up and kicking.
60s, right?
That sounds. I mean, again, Wikipedia would tell us, but I know they were kicking pretty hard by the 80s, and they were probably in the 70s making headway. I know they had a major financial setback in '87. If that matters.
Mm-hmm. So I agree. We had a new patron that signed up, so I sent him a note about the Q&A and asked him what he would like to see. And he said easily cleaning an AK-74 after shooting corrosive ammo is still something I'm searching for. I'll start with this one because I know what your answer is already. The best thing that I have found for cleaning corrosive, keep in mind, I am not, as Misha said earlier, not a professional gunsmith, so take everything I say with a grain of corrosive salt. I typically
corrosive
use
salt.
It's really good on fries. I take boiling water is the thing that I use more than anything else, because salt, they say, is chemically very similar to table salt. Water just dissolves it. So the reason why I use boiling water is because it evaporates quickly. So I'll typically put an electric kettle on till it gets boiling, pour the water down the barrel, pour it through the gas tube, and then swab off the piston and the bolt face with it, and then go back behind it with some kind of preservative oil to restore the oils. This is in the few times that I've shot corrosive in a semi-auto. The main one that I've done with this was the PSL and then my VEPR 54R, because I have tons and tons and tons of 54R surplus. And I'm assuming the reason why you're asking this question is because you probably have tons of AK-74 surplus.
Yeah, 7 and 6.
So 7 and 6.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My basic answer was just don't, because the price of surplus today is not any cheaper than commercial. But if you must, I'll give some warnings. Realize it is a gas system. Realize that it has vent holes in the gas tube.
Yes.
Which means there is a potentiality for salt deposits to go under your handguards, upper and lower.
Yep.
So, yes, I agree. Hot water, as hot as you can get it, is best, because the beautiful thing about boiling water, it evaporates and doesn't leave moisture to the great extent. Windex sucks. Don't do it, because it's basically just cold water.
That's crap.
Hot water is better. There are some cleaners intended for black powder that are pretty good, different brands that aren't bad. You definitely have to swab your barrel. Also, don't forget go ahead and remove your muzzle device, whatever it is, clean its inside, clean your threads on both the gun, and that's the number one problem I've had, and with customers' guns, that will get locked on like no one's business.
Yep.
So make sure you remove and clean all of that really well. Yes, the gas piston, of course, the piston head, also the gas block, the gas tube. Another one, your bolt. You want to make sure you get under your extractor. All that, you don't want that spring to rust out. And then, of course, anything in the receiver there. But again, that salt can potentially blow anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, the one area that I actually, when we were shooting, we got a batch of this white box. This is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We got a batch of this white box, 7.62 by 39. And you still see it out and about in some places, but that stuff was corrosive as all crap, and it was listed as non-corrosive.
Yeah.
But we had multiple guns that rusted up because of it. And that was the thing that on the guns, the couple of guns that I shot and then had waited a couple days to clean, is there was rust spots forming on top of the barrel from around where the gas had vented out of the gas tube.
You remember we shot it through my RPD.
Yes.
And when we learned that ammo was Yankee, I went out to my safe and pulled the RPD down. It was fine. So I just cleaned as normal, because what it wasn't every round. Some corrosive primers had gotten mixed in, so you might shoot a box that was good and then one that wasn't. Well, I checked it, and then not even a week later, I went to check it again after having done a basic normal cleaning, and it was welded shut. And I don't even mean like, oh, I needed a rubber mallet. I mean shut. I had to turn that thing, put it in a thing, soak it in PB Blaster for over a day, and then I could finally knock the bolt loose using a large rubber mallet.
Yeah.
Luckily, because the gun had a chrome-lined barrel, it was mostly surface, but I had that happen. I also had an old RPK 74. That's where I learned the lesson about the muzzle threads being crucial. The gun didn't close up, but the muzzle device essentially welded itself onto the barrel because I didn't clean that well enough. So I don't mind corrosive out of bolt actions. That's pretty straightforward to clean,
right.
But any surplus gun, semi-auto that's worth money, like an SVT, and any really AK-74 today is $1,000 plus gun. Why risk damage just to save a few cents per shot?
Yeah.
My opinion, your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I can see if you have cases upon cases of 7 and 6 that you want to shoot, then I would personally shoot it. I would just make sure I was very thorough about cleaning. And also, I would make sure that I got all of my shooting out of my system for that.
That's another thing too. Yeah, 20 round or 20 round 200 or 2000, you still have to do about the same level of cleaning.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I've been using some stuff called it's the foamy stuff. That was what we call it colloquially here. Wipeout bore cleaner, and that seems to do a pretty good job for corrosive stuff. And it foams into the bore, into the gas tube, and all that. But you still have to swab everything out whenever you're done.
I remember that worked well on that Colt Mark 18 upper I had when it wasn't running great, and we foamed out the gas tube on that AR. And after we did that, I guess it got enough gunk out of the tube because it was a surplus upper that it ran like a champ. So that stuff works.
It's pretty good stuff. You just have to make sure it will eat laminate. It will eat lacquer finishes, so you have to make sure you don't get it on any of your wood stuff.
I think it had a caveat about rubber too.
Could be.
I think there was some kind of rubber.
I just get it on the metal parts, in the bore, the barrel, gas tube.
Yeah, that stuff's cool,
etc. And then that's as far as I get.
And then your other stuff smells like tobacco.
That's just my oil, whatever the hell the CBC. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds a little bit on that, but alrighty. Darren says, I think every Q&A asks something about the Bren 2. That's fine, Darren.
Yes, you do. Sorry, I didn't bring the Bren 2 out today because, yes, every Q&A you do. We've had it out like 3 times. But I brought the Bren 1 out.
So here's the next one. I see the Bren 2 MS is hitting the stores lately. The lowest I've seen is around $15.50 online. Now that the MS version will be coming in, around where do you think the price will settle? Since the military versions are long gone, I'm not in a hurry to get the MS, so if I can save some money, I was thinking around $1,400 would be a good buy, but I want to see if you had any thoughts. I know it would be an educated guess.
Well, people can think what's a good price. You know, we can always set our prices in our heads, but typically the price something launches with doesn't change a whole lot unless it's not going well and they're trying to dump excess inventory. That's what happened with the 805. You know, these came out and they were $1,500 to $1,700 in that range, and they didn't really drop until I think internally CZ had already decided to cancel them, and then you saw them go down. So I don't know if you'll see the Bren 2. Maybe when the carbine comes out, you might see the pistol drop closer to that point, but
I think I paid $1,500-ish for my Bren, for my 805, and then whatever was a prepper had the Bren 2s for was they 18 or 19 or something like that.
Yeah, they had a few different prices. I think I was looking at an invoice just the other day, and the original like 8-inch was $1,750, but I don't think that had a brace. I think ours with braces were like $1,850 or something.
Yeah, it was around $1,900, but so $1,550 to me seems like a good price.
Yeah.
Honestly, that seems like, I'm not going to say that they're never going to settle in, but the thing about these is, especially with those being import, and with the demand being variable, I imagine there's probably going to be a spike in demand at first that will probably drive people to buy them up and then probably try to resell them, for more on Gunbroker.
Sure.
But with these being import, $1,550 might seem like too much now. And then something happens and importation is affected or some kind of supply, something is impacted, and now that $1,550 is $19,000 or $2,000.
Yeah, I mean, I bought my Bren 1 here, we'll call it, for lack of anything else, for about, like you did, $1,550, $1,600. But then the price dropped on the pistols to near $1,000, and on the carbines, I think $1,200 or less. So for a time, I overpaid. But now, go find a Bren 1, and they're back to $1,700, $1,800.
Yeah.
So my attitude was simple. It was well over a year before the price dropped after I bought mine. Yeah. I figure that extra money I spent was worth the extra year of enjoyment I had with this gun.
Sure.
So honestly, if you want something, man, it's just a couple $100, and you never know. Just,
right.
I don't know, live a little.
My thing, I guess, like for me, if it's a U.S. mass-produced Remington or Kel-Tec or something, where they're probably going to bring them out about $6.99, and then people are going to try to scoop them up at that price, maybe overpay a little bit for them because they're new, because the first adopter thing. And then after they've been out for a year or 2 or 3, then the price has already started to drop off. You see it with Keltex all the time. You're seeing it with the CP3 right now. But with these import guns, again, there's so much variability that you're probably better off, in my opinion, getting it whenever you can get it, as long as you know you're not just dramatic.
Yeah, as long as you're not just, I mean, don't get me wrong, we hesitated to get our Bren 2s.
For about a day.
Yeah, well, I'll give credit where credit's due. Tim taught me into that one.
Yeah.
Like, we first talked on the phone because he had no idea they were coming out, and at first we talked and he goes, well, I'll just wait till the price comes down. They'll be out. And then he called me back later saying, man, they're not going to be doing any more of the 2Ss. They're going to do this new version, 2MS, and it's going to be a while. He said, I'd get one. And so he did, and I did, and he bought like 3,000 of them. We bought one. But anyway, it's, yeah, and the thing is, even if they come now, we've had our Bren 2s, again, like I said, for over a year. We've had a lot of fun with them. Yep. That, to me, is worth a gun, because if you go to a range and rent a gun a few times, you're going to spend a couple $100.
Right.
I don't worry about it. I mean, I don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, don't grossly overpay. I would say the problem is if a gun comes out for $1,500 and then there's a spike and they're $2,000, don't buy it then. But
yeah, sure.
You know.
Yep.
Or like the scars we were talking about earlier. I'm sure a lot of other people thought they were going to come down and they've only went up.
That's exactly what I thought too. Is like I'll get one when they're below 2,000, and then
you never know. The Bren 2 might go up. I mean, or they might just discontinue it.
Yeah.
But no, they're awesome guns. 15 something seems pretty cool to us.
Yeah.
We'd pay it. Actually, we paid more, so
yeah,
obviously
exactly.
we would.
Lucian says, love your content, guys. Thank you again, Misha and Jay. Yeah, thank you, Lucian. Appreciate it. I have a somewhat detailed question that has been boggling my mind for some time. Misha, could you shed some more light on the PP1901 Vityaz SN and Russia's idea behind adopting it? It seems odd to me that a 9mm subgun would be adopted so late in the game. We've all seen the big shift in Western military, special forces, Secret Service, FBI, HRT, SWAT, etc. Going away from subguns and adopting short-barreled, intermediate cartridge systems such as the Mark 18, the 416C, 10.3, and 11.5 builds, etc. Why would the VTAs be preferred over something such as a modernized AK-74U or AK-105, or even newer AK-12? Is the entire adoption based solely on the VTA's 7N31 polymer Savot like
yes, I am struggling.
Like round size, recoil, or is there more to it?
There we go. Hey, you can't say the stock's too weak. I got that. You know, I did talk about the history a bit in a couple of our videos. Obviously, we don't have a Sega 9 or a Vityaz, but this is the KR9, mine's a carbine from Kalashnikov USA, so it's actually really close, as we've discussed. The whole Bison project dates back nearly 30 years, so it's not new stuff. And it started off as kind of a 9x18 deal. 9x19 got introduced as Russia moved away, and I really don't think it's unusual. If you consider 5.45 as Russia's main round, they already have the Krink, they already have like the AK-105, so they've already got little compact guns firing 5.45.
Okay.
I think the 9mm is for 9mm use. There's still a certain, it's a larger cartridge, but it's also not going to over penetrate.
Yep.
And ammo is light, and you can carry a bunch of it. And it seems to me that kind of 9mm in the subgun concept has had a little bit of a renaissance in recent years, more in the PDW field perhaps, but you also do still have new guns like the CZ Evo 3.
Yep.
So I think it's making a bit of a comeback, and I think a lot of that has to do with 9mm itself. It's such a versatile round.
Yeah. And the U.S. Army had their trials not too long ago where that was kind of the reason for the Copperhead, the SIG MPX Copperhead's existence, and then they ended up adopting, I believe, the BNT APC-9. So there's still definitely military function for pistol type PDWs.
Yeah, I mean, the military still use pistols, so it's always nice to have something else that uses that cartridge. Yep. If they use the same mags, even better, but...
Recoil, flash.
Yeah,
especially if you're in a vehicle.
Sound suppression.
Yep, sound suppression. Or if you're in a building, like if you've ever fired a short barrel 5.45 in a building, it can be pretty disorienting. So
I'd also say heat buildup, like if you ever fire a crank, they get hot quick.
Sure. And
complexity. I mean, a gun like this is just a direct blowback. Simple, less to break, whereas any full power gun, no matter how short the barrel, is going to have a locking bolt and a gas system or something equivalent.
Yeah. So I'd say it makes sense for CQB.
Oh, and weight
protection.
You can make a 9mm a lot lighter. So there's definitely a role. A role.
Yep. And I said Sabot, and it is pronounced Sabot. Please don't compliment or correct me or compliment me for that matter in the comments.
You should at him. Did he ask about the 9 as well, the Sega 9?
Actually, it's the next question.
Okay, I knew it was there.
They pre-read these so that way we're not total idiots when we start trying to answer them.
Well, it lets us know which guns to bring out on the table.
That's the main thing. G-Man says, while it's a moot point now, was there a reason the Saiga 9 was never imported? After the AWB expired, I figured we might have seen some. Was it because of that one treaty in 1994? Any chance Arsenal might produce or import some? Also, if you could have only one type of food for the rest of your life, what would it be? As always, thank you for the quality content. Your commitment and dedication is much appreciated. Thanks, G-Man. I appreciate that.
Okay. Basically, on the Sega 9, no, the 94 thing, yes, it did ban military-type guns, but it doesn't view 7.62 by 39 or 5.45 by 39 any different than it would 9 by 18 or 9 by 19. A gun's a gun's a gun. So that's not the reason. I would imagine the reason the Sega wasn't imported, well, I know the reason is importers didn't order them. Now, part of it was it's a relatively new model. It hasn't been around 20 years for purchase at all. Also, the PCC craze is pretty new.
Yeah.
If you go back a few years, even looking at some of our old videos, people say, what's the point of that?
Yeah, still get that occasionally on PCC carbine.
So I think if there hadn't been a sanction, it definitely would have happened. I think there wasn't the drive to get it in time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember very early on looking and going, man, I would really like to have a Bizon or a VTIAS, but it didn't seem obtainable. And part of that, like you said, was there really 10 years ago there weren't that many 9mm PCCs. It seems like everybody and their mom makes one now, but I ended up having to buy a factory AR pistol because I couldn't find one for a decent. I couldn't buy one for a decent price outright, and or build one for a decent price, I should say. And then pretty much the only other alternative, I ended up getting an ATI Mill Sport, but it was effectively, I think CMMG maybe had one, and then Colt. That was pretty much
Rock River. Rock River.
Maybe it was Rock River. There were hardly anybody making a 9mm AR.
And even Colt, I would say, the sales were so small, they only did like one run a year, and that was frankly sufficient to meet needs.
And then, you had some
MP5 clones.
CX4, you had MP5 clones, but pretty much it was Vector making them then, right? Like there wasn't hardly anybody.
Well, there was always Todd Bailey.
Okay. So
special
like smaller boutique manufacturers.
The parts kits had kind of, but this is we're talking 10 years ago. It was pre POF there was that little when ATI brought those MKEs in back in 2010 2011.
Yep.
Those were awesome, but guys, they were bringing like $1,000 for a true factory build. Again, the demand was just so low. Oh, don't forget the Ruger PC carbine that was out back in the day.
Yeah, but I think that was out of production even by then.
By then, yeah. But I'm saying it had been made, but they quit making it because no one bought it. Sub 2000, that was probably one of the more successful.
Yep. High Point Carbine.
Was that out? I guess it was.
I think there was one
by then. Okay.
Like one of the earlier versions. But anyway, all that to say, the market wasn't like it is now.
Changing trends for sure.
There wasn't there wasn't PCC competitions like there is now. Like, you didn't really hear about them. And really, the internet hive mind was very turned against them. Why have that when you can have a full power rifle cartridge in the same configuration?
Braces weren't a thing. I think braces really have helped the whole thing, because back then you either had a true pistol with a barrel under 16 and no real anything, or you had to extend the barrel or put on an extended something. Yep. Braces have given a third, frankly, awesome option.
Right. So you combine all of market demand with, that. I do remember hearing Molot talk about a 9mm AK, but then that was about 2 months before they got hit with the sanctions.
And I can confirm that was in the works for Molot to do a VEPR 9, and I won't say the name just in case there's any conflict, but there was an importer lined up, and a credible importer.
Yeah. No,
it wasn't Arsenal.
Yeah.
But that was in the plans, and I'm sure, RWC would have done a Sega 9, because again, the Vitiaz was only coming on in the military scene in the last few years itself, so it usually takes a couple of years between full auto and semi. I think in Russia, and I'm probably wrong, but I want to say the Sega 9 hit around 2014 in Russia, was when it was introduced.
So it was just a really bad timing.
Really bad, yeah, because we had the ISMA sanctions right then, and then they thought, well, we'll just have Molot do a VEPR similar to it, and then they got sanctioned in 2017. It's a shame, but again, that ought to convey how unexpectedly impressed we've been, and I think it's safe to say others have been, with the Kalashnikov USA KR9. It is a Sega 9. It's a true clone.
Yeah.
It's not a halfway there thing. It's there. Like, usually original Russian parts can be, they require fitting, but that's kind of the case with any AK parts. They're not really drop-in, but it's enough that it's usually parts compatible to 1 degree.
Yep.
So, and I think the price point's fair, because I think if we saw a Sega 9 with the military features, folding stock, pistol grip, it converted like an SGL 9, it would be, knowing Arsenal, that price. Yeah.
And then the second part of his question was the type of food. If you could only have one type of food, what would it be?
You go first.
Thai. If I could only have one type of food, it'd probably be Thai food, because it seems like that, for one, that it encompasses a very broad spectrum of types of food, but then also I don't get tired of it very much. I can pretty much eat it a couple times a week. So
I usually do eat it a couple of times a week.
It's good.
It is good.
Doesn't sit out heavy on my stomach. Doesn't make me sick. You can do spicy stuff without it just blowing your taste buds out.
Or even sweet. There's some sweet.
There's sweet, savory. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to. Man, that's.
I would get burned out on steaks fast. I would get burned out on burgers fast.
I do, yeah.
Mexican, I like Mexican a lot, and I eat tacos.
I would be physically burned out on Mexican fast.
But that would be the thing, is it would probably more heavily.
We're not young guys. We're not old, but we're not young, and that kind of food.
Yeah.
I want to say Cajun, because I love Cajun, but I think I would get tired of it faster. I think I'm going to have to go Asian as well. I think I'm going to flip it just a teeny bit and say Korean.
Okay, sure.
But same basic thing. There's a wide range. Also, we live in a warm climate here most of the time, so having food kind of tailored to people living in warm climates is always handy. Plus, a lot of restaurants like that, it is blended. Like, you can usually find decent sushi or whatnot, pad thai, even at Korean restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And there's so much. Yeah, I like spice, but sometimes I don't. But you can get sweet. And you can get noodles, you can get rice, you can get fried, you can get steamed, this or that. Plenty of veggies, but also meats, not a problem. And those restaurants seem to do all kinds of fish, pork, shrimp, chicken, beef.
Yep.
Egg. That's one reason I picked Korean is they tend to use egg more, and I like egg.
Right. He hasn't had lunch yet. That's
No, I
why he's
haven't.
talking about food for so long.
You're right.
Yep. Well, that was the last question. So, I think we covered everybody.
I want to mention something.
Okay.
I want to talk about the AR-15 lower thing. And this is a question I've been getting literally every day. I posted a Colt 9mm AR-15 carbine lower receiver assembly with buttstock on Gunbroker. And I posted these in the past because I sell Colts. Every day I get this question. Is this a virgin or pistol lower receiver? I know that there are no stupid questions. But when the lower physically says carbine on it, and it has a buttstock on it in the pictures, and it's listed in the firearms rifles semi-auto category, and when it says in the title carbine, guys, it's a carbine lower. And I want to say this, Colt does not do and has never done just straight up virgin receivers out of their factory or pistol receivers out of their factory. I confirmed this most recently yesterday with my Colt guy, and I've talked to him 2 or 3 times in the past. What's happened a couple of times, other vendors or other third parties, I think maybe Midway was one of them, but some people took registered SBRs and they remanufactured them, meaning they had to engrave their name on them. And so they re-registered them as pistol lowers or virgin. Well, I guess they couldn't do virgin. They could do pistol. That's the only way I know to get a true Colt lower and it be legally a pistol. The problem is Colt often roll marks their lowers carbine, so they almost would have to scrub that out, because how would you convince any law enforcement officer or any ATF agent that a gun that literally says carbine on the side is in fact a pistol?
Yeah.
And the reason this is important, the way the NFA and all that's interpreted, you can take a pistol and make it into a carbine. You cannot take a carbine and make it into a pistol. And the logic is, in most states, there are more restrictions on handguns. Also, in every state, you have to be 21 to buy a handgun, but only 18 to buy a long rifle. They never wanted people buying a long rifle and then making it into quote-unquote a pistol, because there's the potential for, say, a 19 or 20-year-old to have a pistol legally, illegally.
Right.
Plus, kind of pass a lot of the additional background stuff that most states have on handguns. Also, the way it's written is virgin receiver means it's never had a, well, for one thing, it's never been put together with the gun, but it also means it's never had like a buttstock put on it. Right. So as soon as you slap a buttstock on a lower, especially when you take pictures and put it on the internet, it's a carbine. Please, guys, quit asking. I know most of you probably don't, but...
Yeah, that's probably not most of the people that are watching this video right now.
I do think it's an interesting point of law.
Yeah.
And I do think it's worth saying that Colt has never officially done a pistol AR. They talked
at this
about
point,
it.
Probably never will.
They honestly, they talked about doing a Mark 18 about 2 years ago. I really wanted them to do that. I got my Daniel Defense, and
you have the Daniel Defense,
and it's an awesome gun, but it's
great.
It's not Colt. Just one of those things. Sometimes on these videos I like to mention commonly asked questions. Another one I've had a lot recently, I guess is because of interest. No, guys, I don't have any secret source of SLR 104 FRs or SGL 31s.
That's not true.
Sorry.
It totally does. That was a bald-faced lie.
Shh, that's the secret sub-basement. Nah, sorry. Those are really for reals gone, unfortunately, which sucks because they're among my favorite guns ever. And yeah, I don't know when the Bren 2 MS carbine will be out. I don't think even CZ knows that. That's another question that gets asked a lot. But yeah, anyone watching this that happens to know, if you would, I don't mind answering email questions, but it's always good, even if I answer an email, go ahead and send it on one of these Patreon Q&As whenever we post them, because other people might want to know too. So I don't mind answering your question if it's, quick and easy, but if it's a longer one, we will probably wait to answer it here just because it's easier.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it's been an interesting fall so far. Yeah, weather actually has been nice here.
It's been nice this weekend. It rained all week. It's been a lot of flooding, tornado damage, and stuff like that around. So it's made for an interesting try to get out to the range couple of weeks for sure. So
yeah, but at least it's not as hot as it was last October.
I definitely like the temperature a lot better now than what it was 4 weeks ago. So yep. Anything else?
I think that's about it. Yeah, we just kind of got the gun. One gun I didn't talk about. I brought a little Mauser pistol, a little 1914. Working on a video with this, but I was trying to get my hands on a few other variants to do a more complete video. This one just came in the shop. Figured, who doesn't like World War I era German guns, little 32? So that'll be something coming up whenever it's kind of ready to go. And all of these we've done videos on, so check out playlists and such.
Yep.
We really, sincerely, completely, totally, absolutely appreciate everyone's Patreon, especially this year because of all the weirdnesses. Hopefully that'll settle down pretty soon, but it's sincerely appreciated.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you.
And again, $1. Toss in as many questions as you like, and we're trying to do these every 2 to 3 months as time allows.
Yeah, it's mostly been about every 2 months. So we fell a little bit behind this time because we just had a lot of things that kind of came up and ended up distracting us, and time got away from us a little bit more. So our question time period that we put out, the amount of time we gave people to get out and answer was a little bit abbreviated compared to what it normally is. But we still ended up with 12 posts and 2 questions on each for the most part. So really appreciate you guys taking the time to go out and ask those, because we enjoy doing these videos, and hopefully you guys get something out of it too.
We'll probably post the next notification a little before Christmas.
It'll be sooner this time. Since we kind of fell behind on it a little bit, we'll post another one sooner than later.
And then try to answer those around New Year's. Give you a couple of weeks around Christmas to throw in questions.
Yep. For sure.
And yeah, that's about it. No other new channel news. Everything's been hopefully calmed down.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys. We appreciate it. Feel free to comment below.
Yep. If you're interested in asking a question, we've got a link to our Patreon in the description of this video, and of course we always appreciate you throwing a like on the video if you enjoyed watching it.
Alrighty, guys. This is Misha.
And this is Jay.
And we will catch you very soon next time.
See ya. Now I'm going to get up and run across and turn the camera on.
Let's go to lunch.
Yeah.